Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we are continuing our sale series and we have 3 new nations which are going to be 30% off when it comes to the next little bit. We have China, France and Sweden. These videos will probably be a little bit shorter than the rest because there's no naval and there's no other things with these guys, so it's pretty simple. But also in this video we do actually have something which is going on. We have a new event. It is the Polish Constitution Day, and you have until the 4th of May to get 3 missions played of Britain, rank 3 to 7, and you will get yourself a really cool Polish Hussar decal, which I'll stick on the screen. It looks super nice, it's absolutely beautiful. Definitely worth having a look at. The other thing as well is they're bringing back another vehicle of Polish descent, and this is the P47M1RE. Now this is exactly the same as the standard Bostwick's Thunderbolt, but the difference is that this is a Polish variant of it, meaning that it has a Polish skin, which is really cool. So this is, I believe, Lanowski's P47M. If you haven't got a P47M in the past, or don't have the P47s, then you may not know how powerful these things are. They are super powerful because they have really good engines in the form of the Pratt & Whitney R2800, and also at the same time Lanowski's P47M also has access to a really nice bomb load of 2 1000s and 1 500, a ton of 50 cals as well, meaning that you can boom and zoom in this thing all day. When it comes to the aerialistic, and generally can form part of a really nice lineup. At 5.7, this one in ground goes with, of course, the Hellcats, which are about the place, in the form of the M18 GMC, then also the M4A2 and the M4A376. Both of these work really well. You've also got the Black Cat you can run with it, and also stuff like the Slugger, which is fantastic against Panthers and Tigers at the BR. So in ground it's really good because it has the bomb drops and can fight afterwards, and then in air it's really good because it can boom and zoom, and for some reason the P47s keep getting put down in BR, so that one is not a bad pick. I actually think it's pretty nice, probably a little bit expensive right now when it comes to its cost, especially since the discount is about to hit when it comes to the Americans. So if you're looking for something discounted, then I wouldn't go for this, but also at the same time this is definitely an interesting vehicle, and it is, you know, worth at least looking at, since the other vehicle, the P47M, is a bundle vehicle as well, so it might not be available at this moment. Anyway, let's get back to China and have a chat about the different parts of it. So first of all, we have ground, and for ground there's a few options which I would say are worth looking at. Unfortunately, when it comes to their M4, it isn't a rank 3 vehicle, the M4A4 First PTG, but this used to be one of the starter vehicles for Japan, but they have recently converted it into a GE vehicle. And basically what it is it's the standard Tape Tree M4A4, but it has access to a 50 cal on it, and also access to a pretty cool camouflage on it as well. So, you know, that's quite nice. The First PTG M4A4 is a decent price, it's not too expensive, and also can give you a good boost into the Chinese tech tree. One of the major issues that a lot of people talk about when it comes to Chinese tech tree is a lot of the vehicles are very similar to other nations. Luckily that's been kind of rectified at high ranks, but isn't really the case at low ranks. So you can run the M4A4 with the standard M4A4 and the T3443 and even the Chaffee or the M10, giving you a really powerful lineup. And then you can research all of rank 1 and 2 and also rank 3 at a very good rate with it. So the RP rewards you get on this thing is actually really good. The SL rewards are not great, but the RP's not too bad. And getting into the 5.7 range for the Chinese means that you unlock a fantastic lineup. in the form of the two T-34s, the IS-2, the Hellcat, and even stuff like the M42 and the Slugger, which is just, it's one of the best lineups in the game, in my opinion, also with the support from the air that you get as well. At 3.7 aviation-wise, you also can bring along a few machines. You got the P1Y1, which I believe is kind of underrated in ground. It gets 2 solid 500 kilo drops, which makes it really nice. You also have access to the P40 that you can bring. Unfortunately, you can't bring the P47 though, which kind of sucks. So the first PTG, it's one of those that, you know, it's a nice vehicle to have. I just wish it was rank 3. Unfortunately, being rank 2, it limits its use because you can't use it for events and also for specials and stuff like that. But it is a good vehicle. The M3A3, which I believe is part of the starter pack for China, which may go on sale, so I would probably wait for that. But this is a fantastic little vehicle. We talked about a similar one in another tech tree, but at 2.7, there's a really good lineup as well. You got the two Stuarts right here. You got the Chiha Kai, the CCKW, and then also the LVT A4 ZIS-2 that you can all run together in this massive lineup, along with the P40 as well for CAS support. And this is just a M3A3 with access to a cool camouflage. Now the M3A3 is mobile, it's fast, it's got a very fast firing gun, good gun depression, it also has a vertical stabilizer on the gun so you can always get the first shot off, has access to scouting as well, and good penetration on the gun. The only issue you're going to have is in full up tiers, and in full up tiers you could just become a fast scout that flanks the enemy and is able to let your team know where all the enemy is. That's the beauty of stuff like the M3A3 and the M5. So this one's a really nice pick. It's once again really good for getting you into that rank 3 area, start getting into those unique Chinese vehicles that exist, and also has pretty good RP rewards. Not as good rewards as the Sherman, but it's also a lot lower BR, so it should be easier to play in general. When it comes to the other parts of the tech tree for China for ground, you got the T-3485 number 215 and the IS-2 number 402. Now both of these are solid vehicles. I don't particularly like the higher tier IS-2 44 like this one. But luckily, when it comes to the one which is a premium one, it is the standard 5.7 one. So the gun works pretty well. It does have issues with reload and under pressure, but everything else on it is fine. Both of these are just straight up copies of the tech tree variants of the vehicles. So the only difference is obviously the number that's on the side. So you got the 215 right there, and then the 402 on the IS-2. And for me, they're not bad grinders when it comes to the tech tree, but I would rather just, you know, kind of grind through 5.7 and also grinding to 8.0. The tech tree for China has some very strong BRs, so I've already talked about a few. 2.3, 3.7, 5.7, 8.0. These are really, really good BRs for China, so all these premiums do is kind of bolster those lineups, but they don't really need bolstering because they already have all of the support that they need. So you're basically just swapping like for like with a few more bonuses. So with this T-3485, for example, you get 498% RP and 405 SL. With the Guy, you get 320 RP and 180% SL. So if you think personally that this is worth replacing the Guy, which is it, but has access to a Dishka on the top, then go for it. You know, you'll be able to get more research, you'll be able to get into the higher ranks more easily. But for me personally, a person who likes grinding through tech trees and spading vehicles, these vehicles are a bit redundant because you already have some really good ones in the tech tree to play. But if you want to quicken up the things and, you know, get to high tier quicker, then maybe they're an option. I would say that a ZTZ59A is probably a better way of doing that though, or a WMA 301. So if you really like these vehicles, you know, go ahead. They're not bad vehicles by any chance. You know, they're pretty good vehicles, but they're just not useful because you already have some very good ones in the tech tree of those BRs. The ZTZ59A kind of has the same issue, but it is better for grinding, and it also has much higher RP rewards on it compared to other vehicles. So you have the 8.0 lineup of the Type 59 and the Type 69. You also have access to the PTL02, which is a monster, by the way, and so is the DWZ305. This is one of the best AAs in the game, mainly down to the DKY1 shell. means that you can donk a lot of unsuspecting aircraft from a long distance. You can also donk helicopters, which is nice. The PTL02, I've no idea how this thing has stayed at 8.0. It has access to a fantastic APF SDS round. It has access to Gen 2 thermals for the gunner, has access to scouting, and also its only issue is really mobility. Its survivability is terrible and it's quite large, but apart from that, it's a fantastic vehicle. One of the best in the tech tree at SBR. So once again, you're buying this to slot into the spot which the Type 59 takes, and it is better than the Type 59. It has a lot of very similar characteristics, as you can see. Same reload, same vertical guidance, same turret rotation speed, which is its main issues when it comes to the vehicle. But overall, it is a slightly better variant of it, just because of the additional armor and also some of the additional play on it. Does have access to the Heat FS, doesn't get access to the APDS FS, which is fine because you don't use the APDS FS. Doesn't have, well, sorry, it does have access to smoke grenades and also the laser rangefinder. So overall, its survivability is a little bit higher, which is quite nice. And overall, I would say it is a pretty decent pickup for that 8.0 lineup if you don't want to play the Type 59. They're basically the same thing at the end of the day, apart from this one doesn't have a laser and it doesn't have access to smoke. But the thing is, when you look at the Type 69, which is also at 8.0, this thing does have access to the laser rangefinder as well. So yeah, if you're picking up this one, it's literally just to replace this machine right here in the lineup. It's not a required pickup, I would say. The lineup itself is incredibly strong. You know, the M41D should go down in BR, which is why I don't see it as part of this lineup. This thing is trash. Don't bother with this. But the ZTZ-59A is a solid MBT, but you're not getting anything new compared to the standard Type 59 that you see in the tree. So it's better than it. It means that you can basically run two Type 69s instead of just one Type 59 and 69. So it's a better backup or a better first vehicle with really good rewards. And it will grind you through the vast majority of the tech tree. And the only ones it can't research are these three right here, which is kind of nuts. So, not a bad pickup, just once again not really required. The WMA301 has even better RP gains and also has pretty good SL gains for a high tier thing, and also kind of is required, I suppose, for its lineup, because 8.3 is a very weak lineup for China, and also the 8.3 lineup gets up-tiered a lot into 9.0. And that is a bit of a problem. The 8.7 lineup for China is really good though. The M60A3 TTS, the ZTZ88, and the ZTZ59D1. You've also got the PTZ89, and you can throw in the PGZ09 as well. So this can work very well. If you're running just 8.3 and you don't have access to the T62, then the WMA is going to be the main vehicle that you use at this BR. And it's very similar to the PTL02. It is slightly better than it. It gets the Type 83 APFSDS or APDS because it has access to the WMA301 cannon. So it also gets access to really nice MVDs, gets access to an ACGM that you'll never use, or you should always prioritize using the APFSDS over it. But it's got a really good round. It's got laser rangefinder, smoke, scouting. It's got access to the really good thermals. It has access to everything you would want on a light tank, and it works really, really well because of it. It's just a little bit slow on certain grounds and a little bit big, but apart from that, it's fantastic. And since it's just a slightly better PTL02, I can't recommend it enough if you're grinding through the Chinese tech tree. It is so good you can easily run it at 8.7 as a scout with all of these vehicles if you don't want to run the PTL02 at 8.7 with all of these vehicles as well. Another mega lineup for China, which is just getting better and better and better. I wouldn't bother with the CM25 though, you'll just hurt yourself. It's one of those vehicles which can be fun, but is a little bit tough. The pack sales should probably include the Type 69 2G in the future. So if you prefer a medium tank over a light tank, then that'll be an option. I actually think the WMA is better than the T69 2G though, just because it has more flexibility in its playstyle, and it also fills a gap which this lineup doesn't have, which is a good light tank at a relevant BR. When it comes to the Chinese aviation stuff, they kind of have the same issue as the ground, where there's a lot of copy and paste things in the tree, so many people would probably want to go through them as quick as possible. But there are a few shining lights. The ZW21, for example, is a fantastic machine. Works really well, even at its PR. This thing used to be like 1.7, by the way. It was a destroyer of worlds. And the P40 is pretty nice. Also, the P47s that they added are really good. And also stuff like the P51K is pretty nice to fly. And also stuff like the MiG-15. But when we have a look at the premiums, that means that I would generally say that if you want to grind through them hard, the premiums aren't a terrible pickup. Most of the premiums themselves are just kind of copy-paste from other trees as well. So the only unique one really is the Hawk. And the Hawk is not great. It's a little bit of fun, I suppose. It has access to a pretty fun bomb load, 1.500 and 4 100s. You can maybe take it in ground forces and have a bit of fun with it and see what you can do. It also has a really interesting gear system where you can see it kind of sucks it into it, which is very similar to a lot of other American designs of the era. But it just looks really cool on the Hawk. I don't know, it's a plane which I find lovely to look at, but not too lovely to play. When it comes to the next one, you have the H-81A2. This is very similar to the Kitty Hawk. It is slightly worse when it comes to its general flight characteristics, and overall it acts very similarly to it though. You have access to the 430s in the wings, and then you have access to 250s, so you have slightly weaker damage that you can bring out. You do have a 500-pound bomb, so you can bring it along in ground forces, which can work very well. And also, it's just really nice for grinding stuff out in the lower tiers of the game. It also has pretty good rewards on it, 354 RP and 270 SL. Now, I wish the SL was a little bit higher, but the RP is very, very good. So getting through rank 1, 2, and 3 with this won't take too long, especially if you're playing it realistic with it. So it's not a bad pickup, this one, at all. I think it's actually a pretty decent aircraft, and if you're used to the P40 series, then you'll be very much used to this. This one's also pretty cheap for what you get out of it. The Ki 45 Heitei Toryu, this one does have a lot higher rewards on it, but that's because it's worse. And it's pretty much as simple as that when it comes to the Ki 45s. This one is, though, a Ki 45 which does have all of the different interesting factors of all the other Ki 45s kind of put together. So it has the shrug music, which you can see here. So if you've never used that mechanic, it is quite fun. Basically, you use it to be able to aim upwards. You even have a little aimer in the cockpit. It's quite well done overall, and I'm sure it's very fun in simulator. You also have the defensive gunner with the 792 in the back, just to give you a little bit of support, and then also you have access to a 20mm right here with 100 rounds, and then you have the offensive 37mm with 15. So you have a little bit of all of the best of both worlds of the Ki 45s, backed up with the HA102 engines, which are not too bad. The Ki 45s are some of my favorites twin-engine planes in the game, mainly the lower tier ones, because they can actually compete with single-engine fighters pretty well and have good speed behind them. They are generally very maneuverable as well, with decent speeds, but I still wouldn't recommend this one over the H81, just because it's still going to get done out by a lot of fighters. It is pretty fun though, and does have some unique stuff to it. The A6M2, well, it's a standard zero. It can flip and dip and fly all over the place, and with two 20mm and two 7.7s, you're not going to do the best damage in the world, but you're going to do a decent amount. This is a complete copy of the Japanese one, so if you know how to defensively fly, if you know how to engage people in turn fights and make sure they don't break off, and if you know how to be accurate with the guns, you're going to have a fantastic time with this one. It has great ARP and SL rewards, does get access to the 260 kilo bombs, just like all of the other Zeros, so there's at least that going on for you. And generally, it's just a good vehicle with a very, very specific playstyle. So if you like the Zero, you'll love this one, and it'll get you through all the way to the end of rank 4 and through most of the copy and paste stuff until, you know, basically you need to get to rank 6 to stop the copy and paste stuff. when it comes to China. And this one will get through most of it if you need to. The Key 84 Co is one of my favorite energy / boom and zoom fighters in the game. It is one of those which has 3 really good turns in it. After diving from the top, it has 2 20mm with a bunch of ammo, has 2 12.7s with a ton of ammo as well, and generally just is a really nice vehicle to fly. It also has insanely good rewards on it, with the 720 SL and the 498% RP. Using something like this, you could easily grind through this tech tree in air realistic very, very quickly. It doesn't really have too much of a use in ground. You do get 2 250s, which is quite nice, and at 5.3 you can run it at 5.3 or 5.7, so there is at least that, but there are much better options when it comes to the tech tree for vehicles like this. So the Key 84 Co is an amazing vehicle. It flies super well and is really nice to play in air realistic. I generally think there are better options in the tech tree though once you grind through them. And then also you have the Shenyang F5. This thing is terrible. Don't bother with this right now. It used to be quite good. It used to be not meta defining but pretty close. Nowadays it's trash. It has 2 PL2s, and these are some of the worst missiles in the game. It has a very similar performance to the MiG-17, but it does have slightly enhanced performance because it does have the Shenyang Liming WP5 afterburning engine in it, but it's nothing to really write home about. This thing doesn't get access to countermeasures, its guns are a bit wonky for the BR, it's not fast enough, it's not maneuverable enough, it's just not a good vehicle right now. There are a lot of vehicles at 9.3 and even at 9.0 that can outdo it, and because 9.7 is such a popular bracket, you're going to face 9.7 a lot, you're going to face 10.3 a lot, and you're going to get eaten alive because you don't have countermeasures, and also you're just not fast enough to be able to defensively fly against one target, reset, and then for that target to not be in position again, and you to be at the same energy level, or be attacked by 2 targets at once. So it's just not a good pickup. I know it's a high BR one, it would be better just to wait for the A5 to be on offer when it comes to its packs. So overall, some pretty decent picks in GE-wise for the aviation and also for the ground stuff. But generally, I would say the tech trees themselves, if you don't mind copy and paste stuff, they're good for grinding through. Like, China's not a bad set of tech trees. Like, it's pretty good in general. So, you know, I would always recommend grinding through this stuff. But anyway, as always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. I'd just like to thank Merciless Reaper, Jerry Provolt, Mega Dino King, Professor X1718, Orange Tail, Sakoshi Tiger, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, Moxie, B. Young, and Derek R., Bareen, Lafouche, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.